Old man with the plan here. On one of my previous videos, you've seen how I dug out a stump that was right in front of this one. It was about half the size of this one. So this one, we're going to see what we can do with it, but we're going to try something new. Now, as you see, this was one big stump. This was a big old hemlock I cut down about 5 years ago. I made some nice 12-foot beams out of it. But after doing the other one, which was half the size, and realizing I had a heck of a time getting it out of the ground, I actually had to turn it over, get rid of the dirt underneath it. And I did get it out, but it wasn't the easiest thing. Now this one here is a lot bigger. If I wanted to dig it out, I'd have to start taking the sawzall to these, cut these out. I've done that on a big oak. It took me quite a while. This is going to be new to me, but being the size of this one, and it would take me quite a bit longer to try to dig it out, I am going to try something different. So let's get started. Now, as I try to cut this down low, I want to make sure I'm not going to hit any rocks or a lot of dirt on the way around. Cutting stumps at ground level is kind of rough on the chainsaw. It's rough on the chain. It's hard to cut straight because as the chain hits something, it ruins the chain and it starts to cut crooked. It was a hard job. I'm certainly not going to show it all to you, but I'm going to get you bits and pieces. It took me quite a while to get this all the way through. Had to stop and fill up the chainsaw once too. Like I said, it was a rough cutting, wore me out, but I could have used a little bit longer chain. But that's the only chainsaw I had was with a 20-inch bar, so that's what I worked with, and we did get it. After chainsawing the whole way around, it did wiggle a little bit, so I thought maybe I could bust it the rest of the way free. I think I got the chainsaw in as deep as I could, and I may not have gotten it quite deep, so I'm going to try some steel wedges to bust it free. I did get it to move around a little bit more, but not quite free, so I may have to bring the tractor in to pull it off. As you can see, once I got the tractor back here with the backhoe, it actually took hardly any effort at all to bust it the rest of the way free and get it off. Now that I got that part of the stump out, it came out okay. There was one spot here that I'm pointing out that you can see. That's where it was still attached. I had to bust it free with the backhoe. Now my next step will be to clean out in between it. I want to get all the dirt away from it so I can get it to burn down as far as I can. So I'm just going to pick away with it and try to get as much dirt out as I can around it. These dirt balls that go underneath these stumps is what makes them so heavy. There is no way I'd be able to pull this stump out with the dirt ball, and even scraping off the dirt ball, move it with my little Kubota. It's just going to be too big. So I have no choice but to try to burn it down a little bit or cut it lower and bury it with dirt. If you watched my previous video, you see the smaller stump, which was only about half the size of this one. I struggled to move it even after I scraped the dirt ball off to get it up to where the pile is with the stumps. So, like I said, I have no choice. So I'm going to try what I see on YouTube. I've seen where they drill a hole in the middle and they start to fire and they get the stump to burn itself out. Now, I drilled a hole in the middle and I spent quite a bit of time. I didn't just drill one air hole. I drilled about 3. I wanted to make sure it got enough air. So there was a lot of drilling involved, and it did take some time, but I did get all the holes drilled through. Holes are drilled. I drilled 2 burn holes, 1 breather hole to 1 burn hole, and 2 breather holes to the other burn hole. I used a 1/2-inch bit because that's all I had on hand with me up here at camp. So once again, what I have is what I use. All right, I've covered up over winter. So maybe it would dry out a little bit more. We'll see. I put a pallet on top of it, then threw an old piece of plastic I had laying around. I think I'm going to try to burn that stump out this weekend and get this tale of 2 stumps done with. Hey, well, there's the stump uncovered. That did keep it dry. It is awfully muddy around it, but I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'd love to get this done and out of the way so I can get it covered up and get this area cleaned up. I actually made 2 holes in this stump, as you see, one here and one there. Those are just about a 1/2 inch holes. That's the biggest bit I got. Now I just put some oil down them a little bit ago, and it came out that breather hole there, and it did come out that other breather hole that's there. So I'm gonna light a fire in each one of these, and we're gonna see how this works out. You see this all the time on YouTube. I'm hoping it works out, at least separates these legs, the roots, so I can pull them out with the backhoe. Now, I tried the YouTube way with drilling the hole in the center and then the air holes. It just didn't work for me. I mean, I tried to start it with oil. Then I switched to a kerosene to try to get it to go. I used small sticks. I used wood shavings. I just couldn't get the inside of the stump to light up and burn for any length of time. So eventually I just gave up and started piling on top of it. Now, I really don't know why it didn't work for me. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. I wasn't patient enough. Maybe the stump itself wasn't dry enough. Maybe it's not the right type of wood that would burn easy. Whatever it was, it just didn't work for me. So instead of burning from the inside out with the hole, I decided to try to burn from the top down and from the outside in to see if I could get it to burn enough where I could rip it apart that way. I did fill the fire up till that evening, and now it's the next day, and I am going to scrape the dirt and stuff like that off, the ashes. Naturally, you burn down in some areas of the dirt, and it will not burn through the dirt. So I want to be able to expose as much wood as I can so I can burn as much of it. You do see some construction waste and stuff like that. I also took the opportunity to burn that up. Now I'm restarting the fire, and a little bit of oil always helps. It did go completely out, so I had to restart it to get it going. As always, once you start a fire, you have to feed it, and fires are hungry animals. They want to keep on eating and eating the more you give them. I was able to use my quad for a lot of the getting of the wood and moving it around. Now, day 2 burning, I did find an easier way to lift up some wood. I had some wood piles scattered around. I put some fork extensions, some cheap add-on ones I got from Amazon onto my bucket just in order to haul wood. It made it a lot easier just to dump it. I was able to do this on this job up here because the area is more flat, whereas the if you watch the large stumps I burned below in the snow, it was just too hilly there. I didn't feel safe taking the tractor down there with loads. I was afraid tractors can flip on you, and I certainly don't want that to happen because, like I said, most of the time I'm up here by myself working, so I have to try to be safe. But this did make the job a lot easier. I was able to clean up a lot of piles I had laying around. It scooped it up, sometimes right away. Sometimes I had to get down and do a little bit of cutting, a little bit of piling on. But overall, it worked well. It kept the fire going good all day long, and I used it for a couple days. After 2.5 days of burning, this is what I have left over. It's not too bad. It did burn down, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 8 inches in certain areas. So now hopefully I can take my backhoe and bust some of these roots out. As you can see, I'm already busting some of them out. I'm sure some of them's going to be easier and some of them are going to be harder, but if I can break this stump up in pieces, I'll be able to get it up to the hole. That's the whole reason why I burned it from the outside in instead of from the inside out, as that just didn't work for me. Now this large root just didn't want to break, so I had to go get my little helper and see if I can cut a little bit off the top of it so I can bust the thing out. Like I said, I've been fighting with it for a while. It just doesn't seem to want to go. So hopefully this little bit of persuasion will help. It still didn't want to come out easy, but with a little persuasion and a little bit pressure, it did eventually pop out. Now, once that one came out, the rest weren't too bad. They came out relatively easily. They busted up pretty nice. I didn't have too much troubles. I mean, I had to do a little more digging, a little more, but it wasn't really a struggle with the rest of them. I tried to position a lot of these roots right back in the hole to fill in the dirt there, because it is going to be quite a bit missing. I'm a little concerned if I ever do rototiller up, what I'm going to hit, but the same token, they'll rot and they'll kind of fertilize the ground too. Unfortunately, as I was digging here, I almost had this big one out. It was moving around a lot, the very last piece. But when I switched over the position of the backhoe, I must have forgot to turn the camera on because I didn't actually get the very last piece out. But it came out okay. After everything was out, I just kind of moved some stuff around. Like I said before, I buried some of the stuff in order. It will rot and help fill in the hole. I'll fill it in, and I won't do a real smooth finish on it. I'll just try to get everything in there. And then as it dries out, some rain soaks the dirt down in through the roots and stuff, I will eventually do a better backfill job. But for now, I'm just going to do a real rough backfill just to get it all filled in. This certainly will make it a little bit easier for at least me mowing this year. I won't get a garden in this year up here. Maybe next year, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. So I just wanted to get it filled in so I can mow without going around all these stumps. That's one of the reasons you see me taking out all the stumps up here. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for your time. I know time is precious, so I do appreciate your shares, your likes, and your comments. Those do mean a lot to me. I enjoy the comments. I try to reply to them all because, like I said, I do appreciate your time it took you. So I should at least try to make an effort to reply to all your comments. Once again, this is the Old Man with the Plant. I want to thank you for viewing, and hopefully I'll see you later.